Hey, what is going on, guys? This is the SS Ultimate Goku back with another video to talk about the WrestleMania 36 predictions. And I just want to put out a disclaimer right here, right now. This, as of this recording, is the card to my knowledge. So if something is changed later on, or something happens in the tapings that I don't know about, or it wasn't released to the public, then I apologize. But I am just strictly going on what I know right now at the time of the recording of this video. And just bear in mind, I'm just giving... this is just my opinion on how it's going to go. I don't know exactly how they're formatting day 1 and day 2, how many matches are going to be day 1, how many matches are going to be on day 2. I don't know that. I'm just going to kind of run down it based on how I think it's going to go. So, as we all know, this WrestleMania is going to be probably the dumbest WrestleMania ever because of the circumstances. No fans. Pretty much no nothing. 2 days. WWE's trying to make this as a positive. They actually released a t-shirt saying I wasn't there at WrestleMania, which is stupid in my opinion there. It's like, you're basically just saying how, oh yeah, we couldn't postpone WrestleMania, so we had a WrestleMania with empty seats. Which just kind of invalidates, I guess, Daniel Bryan's statement from 6 years ago. Right? That was what I was thinking when they were doing this. There is a order from Florida that until April 30th that no one can do anything. They have to stay at home, which kind of sucks that this order didn't come into place sooner, because obviously the tapings are already done up to Monday Night Raw, the night after WrestleMania. So, kind of sucks that we're going along with this, because I would have rather seen it been delayed and have fans with it. But, that's what's going to happen. So other pay-per-views, I guess, are going to get postponed then instead. But, nonetheless, we're going to run down WrestleMania here. So, opening match, let's just get it going here. The opening match is going to be the SmackDown Tag Team Championship ladder match, which is now, I can confirm right now, has turned into a one-on-one ladder match for each teammate. John Morrison will be representing John Morrison. And The Miz. And then we have the Usos. I'm not sure which one of the Usos will be represented. And then we have one of the New Day's members. I'm assuming it will be Kofi Kingston that will be representing this tag team match. And it will be for the SmackDown Tag Team Champions. The reason this all coincides is because The Miz was sick, and it's also the reason why Roman Reigns is not in the main event anymore, because, well, Roman Reigns, health already at risk because of his past leukemia, did not want to be at any more tapings. And so because of this, because John Morrison and The Miz are the tag team champions, they have to now have just John Morrison defend both tag team titles in a one-on-one ladder match for the tag team championships. Kind of dumb, but under the circumstances, I guess they have to. Even though even though The Miz has massive heat on for what he did, which, can't blame anybody for this one. I don't see them losing the titles here, because I don't feel like John Morrison should be punished for what The Miz did. And Morrison's the one that's going to be in the match. So I think... And also, I don't like the idea of a new tag team champion being crowned with only one member of the team in the match. So I'm gonna have Morrison and Miz's team go over here, and then whenever the next tapings happen, I would just have Morrison and Miz lose the titles when Miz can ever come back. So that's kind of how I would approach this. So yeah. Okay, so next we are going to have Kevin Owens versus Seth freaking Rollins. So Seth Rollins has turned heel. Kevin Owens has been doing really good as a babyface as of late. I could really see this one going either way. I mean, personally, it really doesn't matter which one of these two wins. Because they're both over. But if I had to pick one, I would say Kevin Owens, because I think Kevin Owens needs it a little more. Seth Rollins has won the last two WrestleManias. He won last year, and then he beat Triple H the year before that. Last year he beat Brock for the Universal title, and then he beat Triple H the year before that. So I think Kevin might need it a little more, but I have no issues with either one of them going over here. But I think Kevin's going to go over here. Will be a good match. It's a one-on-one match. So, yeah. For the next match, I think we're going to see the next one of the next key matches on the card, and that will be the Firefly Funhouse match between John Cena versus The Fiend Bray Wyatt. Now, a lot of people are still kind of upset that The Fiend lost the Universal title last month in the Super Showdown show to Goldberg due to WWE wanting to have Goldberg go up against Roman Reigns for the title, which obviously is now not happening now, so now a lot of people are even more mad. But guys need to realize that no one could have foreseen all this stuff happening with the coronavirus stuff. So, in terms of what WWE decided to have Goldberg go over, I think it was still a really good idea, and I don't think it hurt The Fiend at all. He lost one match to a guy he never had a feud with before, so psychologically it makes sense that he lost to someone like Goldberg because he never went up against Goldberg before. All the guys that The Fiend went up against prior to Goldberg were guys that he had feuded with in the past, back when he was Bray Wyatt, the original Bray Wyatt character, which if you see what he's been doing with John Cena as of late, John Cena has been the reason why his original character crumbled, and that's what they're kind of setting up. So the way I look at it, it made more sense for Goldberg to have beaten The Fiend because he had no preparation of knowing how Goldberg is. He was cocky and thought he could beat him even though he had never wrestled him before, but obviously that did not go as planned, and that's why at the end of the match he realized that and did not attack Goldberg after he lost. So psychologically it made sense for his character. In terms of him going up against John Cena, easy way to do it. The Fiend wins here. Cena doesn't really need to win. He's established. I mean, he can beat pretty much anybody at any time if they need him to because he's, been well established. The Fiend needs this more. Cena doesn't really need this. Not sure if this will be his last match ever in WWE, but for sure this is definitely going to be a loss for Cena. I don't exactly know the rules of the Firefly Funhouse, so I'm not sure exactly how wins can take part. I'm just gonna assume that the Firefly Funhouse is just basically gonna be like the House of Horrors match or whatever. It's going to probably be the same deal where it's just in like a set, maybe at a house where it's all funny and all that type stuff, just like the House of Horrors. But the match can end in a pinfall or submission the same way. It's just going to be in a set. That's what I'm assuming is what the Firefly Funhouse is. So if that's what it is, it's just basically a pinfall or submission match with, being on a different set, rather than be in the ring, just like the House of Horrors match. No issue right there. Simple. The Fiend wins with the pinfall. And it also could be because, they want to have more matches not be at the Performance Center. They wanted to have kind of an element because there's no crowds. And so this probably might be a good way to do it. Maybe it could be like the way how Matt Hardy's setup was when they did the Hardy Compound, the Ultimate Deletion match, where they might have a ring, in the Funhouse, but it still ends with a pinfall or submission. And it could be anywhere in the Funhouse, not exactly just in the ring. They could do something like that and take, a checkbook out of Hardy's, playbook, rather than what they did with the House of Horrors matches, what they did with Orton and Bray Wyatt a few years ago. It could be a mixture of that, really. But, yeah. But anyways, point being, Fiend goes over. No questions asked. Alright, so the next match, which again, I don't know if this match is actually going to take place or not. But the Intercontinental Championship match, we have the Sami Zayn, who's the Intercontinental Champion, defending against Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan, from what I understand, is currently on self-quarantine. So I don't know if he was there for the WrestleMania tapings or not. He was on SmackDown last week and won a number one contenders match. So I don't know. If he's not, I'm assuming Gulak will be replacing him. So if Gulak is in this match, I think Sami Zayn will go over. If Daniel Bryan is in this match, I definitely know Daniel Bryan is going over, so it just depends on who is going to be in this match. If Gulak's in this match, I don't see him beating Sami Zayn. If Sami Zayn is going actually against Daniel Bryan, I'm almost certain Daniel Bryan will win, despite Zayn just winning it a couple weeks ago. Surprisingly taking it for Braun Strowman, which I still think was stupid, but then again, maybe it was a blessing in disguise, knowing now that he's replacing Roman Reigns in a match we will get to later. But nonetheless, that's where I see that going. So, next we have Aleister Black taking on Bobby Lashley. Probably a nice, good clean match. Overall, I'm going to say Bobby Lashley goes over, just because I'm a huge fan of Bobby Lashley, but either way, it could go either way. But nonetheless, that's what I think. Alrighty, so now at this point, I think we will do, I guess, the main event of day 1. And that will be the WWE Championship match, which will be Bobby Lashley defending against Drew McIntyre. So with this match, I know a lot of people think Drew is going over here because, I mean, why the freak not? But WWE has swerved us so many goddamn times. And considering the fact that a lot of people are going to cite on the fact that Lesnar's contract ends in late April. People need to remember that his contract was about to end a couple years ago when he went up against Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, and yet WWE secretly signed him to a new extension, which no one knew about until after WrestleMania. And Drew has been booked very strong in this feud. He's been booked really strong. You know, he wasn't booked like Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins was booked weak going into WrestleMania against Brock. And Drew has been booked very solid against Brock. So, something tells me that WWE is going to have Brock win here. Brock Lesnar, I think, will win against Drew. But I could be wrong. But I'm under the belief that Brock is gonna win, and really doesn't really matter because I mean WrestleMania is not really WrestleMania at this point anymore, anyways, because of the coronavirus. So I don't think Drew's gonna win here, guys. Sorry, I'm predicting Brock Lesnar to go over here. Okay. So, now we're going to have the opening match of Sunday, which is going to have more matches, obviously, than Saturday. We're going to have the NXT Women's Champion, Ripley Riley, versus Charlotte Flair for the NXT World Champion, or Women's Champion. This could go a bunch of different ways. But I think Charlotte will lose here. I think they're going to put Ripley over. They're going to put Ripley over. She's, she kind of needs it more than Charlotte. I mean, Charlotte going to NXT. Ripley makes more sense to beat Charlotte Flair here. Charlotte doesn't really need the NXT title. So, yeah, I'm just going to go over it. But it will be a good match. Then we'll have the last man standing match next with Edge versus Randy Orton. Again, another match that really could go either way. I know a lot of people could just assume that Edge is going to win because it's his return, but we don't even know how many matches Edge is going to wrestle. Okay, he might have just gotten the surgery just to do one more match. And, obviously he did the Rumble, but, Rumble and then do WrestleMania. And so we don't exactly know if this is his last match. Obviously, Edge didn't get to retire the way he really needed to retire. Most people, when they retire, they do the time-honored tradition of losing. You go out on your back. Edge never got to do that because when he did his feud with Alberto Del Rio, they didn't know the full extent of the injury until shortly after Mania, where they found out he had to retire because of his neck. So, the way I look at this, Edge definitely could win here. But it's tough for me to say because, again, if this is his last match, it would make more sense for Randy Orton to go over. But that being said, I'm going to have Edge go over here because I don't think, now that the coronavirus thing is happening, I'm almost suspecting that Edge is going to want to wrestle one more time after this match now because obviously there's no fans. So I'm going to say Edge goes over here. in a very intense last man standing match. Next, we're going to have the fatal 5-way women's championship match, which is going to be Bayley, Sasha Banks, Naomi, Lacey Evans, and Tamina. Now, they could add someone else since obviously Carmella won't compete because of the coronavirus. That's why she wasn't even added when they first announced this. And then also Dana Brooks was quarantined, so she was taken out of the match. So they could add one more person, as a surprise. Some people have rumored Nia Jax. And there's been some other toss-ups. Personally, the way I look at this, I don't think they're going to include anyone else because really you don't need to. You don't need to because you have the two people you want in this match to tell the story. And that is Bayley and Sasha Banks. All the other people in this match, I think they're just going to get eliminated right away. Because it's an elimination match, by the way. It is an elimination fatal 4-way match, which means it's not first pinfall or submission wins the title. It's last person standing wins the title, essentially. So, that being said, Tamina, Naomi, Lacey Evans, they're going to get eliminated, and then it's going to be between Sasha and Bayley. There's a couple different ways you can do it. Right after Bayley, eliminates someone, eliminates one of the other people, you have then Sasha Banks get up, and then you expect Sasha to just lay down for Bayley to just get an easy WrestleMania win. And then right at the last second, Sasha Banks just is like, nope, not doing it, and she turns face. Or you can even actually have her go down the pin, but then she kicks out right at 2, and then, you just set it up that, that face turn, that epic face turn for Sasha Banks. Either way, there's a bunch of different ways they can execute it. I think Sasha Banks will win here. Bayley's had the title a little too long. And I think it would tell much more of a story if you have Sasha win as being the babyface. Moving forward into SummerSlam, you can tell another really good story between the two. And so I think that would be a good way to go about it. So I'm having Sasha Banks win the SmackDown Women's Championship. So then we're going to have the Raw Tag Team Champions, the Street Profits, taking on Angel and Austin Theory. As we all know, Andrade was originally in this. They took him out because he's being under... he's not quarantined, but he actually legitimately injured himself during one of the tapings. So, actually, I don't even know if that was the last live Raw show, actually. And because of that, he's been taken out. So someone else from NXT has been bumped up to be in this match. So the way I look at this, I'm almost certain the Street Profits are going to win. Because they just put this tag team together, so I can't see the Street Profits losing. So yeah, that's pretty simple. Next, we're going to have Otis versus Dolph Ziggler, which is basically fighting over Mandy Rose. Honestly, don't really care. They've been doing this storyline for a while now. This storyline actually had the most build over every storyline going into Mania, which is just weird. Honestly, I'd rather see Dolph Ziggler win. Dolph Ziggler is one of the most underappreciated wrestlers on the roster, so I'd rather see Ziggler win. Something tells me they're going to have Otis win, but I'm still sticking with Dolph here to win. So, yeah. Nothing special about that match. Next, we're going to have King Corbin versus Elias. I want Elias to win really bad, but WWE is really high on King Corbin, and so I'm thinking King Corbin's going to go over here. But hopefully Elias does win because I think this is his actual first match at WrestleMania. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I think this is his first match because, like, his first official match because usually the last couple of years of WrestleMania, all he's been doing is like promos and shit like that. Like he does like he did like a promo with Cena, 2 years ago, which set up the Undertaker versus John Cena match. And then last year, didn't he do another one with Cena with the rapper thing? I don't remember, but like I think this is his actual first WrestleMania match. So, besides doing promos at WrestleMania. So, that's pretty good for Elias. I'm hoping Elias wins, but again, WWE is really high on Baron Corbin or King Corbin or whatever. I mean, God, he's so overrated, in my opinion. But, I'm almost certain WWE is going to have him win, because he draws heat. There you go. WWE Women's Tag Team Champion, the Kabuki Warriors versus Alexa Bliss and Nia Cross. Nikki Cross, sorry. The Kabuki Warriors have had this for a while. So something tells me Alexa Bliss and Cross are going to win here because it's like I said, we've already had 2 tag team champions retain. And the Kabuki Warriors have had a pretty good run with those titles. So I could see them going and switching it back to Alexis and Cross because obviously, they're pretty good as a tag team. I'd rather see Alexa Bliss go back into the singles title hunt. She's a very good wrestler, and I definitely think she should be back in the hunt for the women's title. I definitely would love to see a heel Alexa Bliss versus a face Sasha Banks. I know the two aren't very loving with one another backstage, behind the scenes, but I really would like those two to go up against each other because I think they are both really good competitors, and they're both they're both like among my favorite women wrestlers in the WWE. So I'd really like to see a feud out of those two. If they win here, that probably won't happen, but I'm really hoping that will happen sometime down the road. But I definitely see them beating the Kabuki Warriors here for the titles. Next, we're going to have the Boneyard match between The Undertaker versus AJ Styles. Now, y'all know I think this whole Boneyard thing is stupid. Personally, I just wish they would have just done a Buried Alive match. Offset or whatever. This is not a Buried Alive match because people are saying that this was supposed to be a Buried Alive match. It is not a Buried Alive match. AJ Styles described what the Boneyard match was. It is a pinfall submissions match. It's basically a street fight match, but it's offset. That's basically what it is. It's basically a street fight match that's literally going to be like, in the streets. Well, not really in the streets, but in a cemetery, basically. Street fight matches usually aren't actually in the streets. Well, the old ones were, but not the modern day street fight matches in WWE. They're actually in the ring, but that's basically what it is. It's a no disqualification match, essentially. Pinfall submissions, but it's offset in a cemetery. It's not a boneyard. It's a cemetery. But for some reason, they can't call it cemetery or graveyards. In a PG rating, By the way, guys, y'all know I'm a huge Yu-Gi-Oh fan, right? Guess what? Yu-Gi-Oh's rated Y7. They say graveyard all the time. Yes, WWE, maybe you should watch Yu-Gi-Oh more often, because apparently Yu-Gi-Oh, which is supposed to be less violent than WWE is in their ratings, can say graveyard, but WWE can't say graveyard. They can't say graveyard, people, but Yu-Gi-Oh can. Yu-Gi-Oh can, and they're Y7. You know, what the frig? So that's why it's being called a boneyard match and not a cemetery match or a graveyard match. So, yeah. Undertaker versus AJ Styles. Undertaker has lost twice at WrestleMania now. But, that being said, I don't think he's losing a third match. AJ Styles will not win this match because if this is not Undertaker's last match, it doesn't make sense. And so, yeah, Undertaker is going over. It would be much more valuable if it was for the streak, if Undertaker was still undefeated, but nonetheless, that's not happening. So, yeah, because he lost to Brock, and then he lost to Roman a couple of years later. So, yeah. Yeah, so that's that. So Undertaker goes over, basically. Let's make sure I got everything here. Yep. Okay, so next we have the second last match of Night 2, which is the Universal Championship match. We have Goldberg versus Braun Strowman. Yes, spoilers for people who haven't watched SmackDown yet, because I'm assuming tonight's SmackDown will officially make the replacement for Braun Strowman. Roman Reigns is out because of what The Miz did at the tapings. He was sick. He showed up sick. Roman is very, very more scared than most of the other wrestlers are because he has a history of leukemia. So he is more at health risk, even though he's younger and not an older guy. He has health issues because he's had 2 leukemias in his lifetime. And so because of this, he decided to back out of the Goldberg match for WrestleMania because The Miz showed up sick. His cousins, the Usos, are involved in a feud with The Miz, and they were not happy about it, and they told this to Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns then was pissed off and left the tapings because of this. And so that's why he pulled out of the match. Definitely happy that Roman Reigns did this. Definitely health comes first. And I'm very happy he did this because, I mean, this shit should not happen. I don't like the criticism that that Roman is taking for pulling out. People that are doing that should be ashamed of themselves. Even if you're not a fan of Roman Reigns, we're in a crisis, guys, and everyone's health comes first. And I'm glad he did this. I'm glad, I mean, if Roman wasn't a big star as he is, he probably wouldn't have the pull to do this. But I'm very happy that he put his foot down on this because, your health has to come first. And Roman obviously is at more risk than any of these other wrestlers on the roster because of the leukemia health issue. And so Braun Strowman is replacing him. So with that being said, I've already made a video about my whole feelings on Braun being in this match. So if you guys haven't seen that video, you guys can go check it out. I'll put a link in the description to give my full details on it because I'm not going to give my feelings about Braun versus Goldberg in terms of, the whole timing and, the replacement and all that stuff because I already did a whole video on that. But I'm just going to talk about this. So the original match, again, was supposed to be Spear versus Spear, Goldberg, and Roman. Obviously, that match is not happening. So now, how does the dynamic change with Braun Strowman? Um, I'm not sure how long it's going to be. Obviously, this would have been the last match if this had been Roman versus Goldberg, but obviously it's not because it's a last second put together match. So I'm not going to have it be the last match, and I don't think WWE is going to have it be the last match now either. So that's why this is the second last match. And the way I look at this match going, I could see either of these two winning. Um, Goldberg could win because, again, they have to take a break because of the Florida order anyways for the Performance Center. So they could have Goldberg win. He's a part-timer, so you don't have to bring him in always, but he's not have to be pressured to be brought in now because of the part-time whole arrangement because of the coronavirus. So you can have Goldberg win. You can have Braun Strowman win and finally get the monkey off his back that he can win the big one because you've screwed him around. But the last year you've kind of ruined him, and then last month you had him lose to the Intercontinental or lose the Intercontinental title to Sami Zayn. Not a good idea. My take on it. But now he has a chance to win the Universal title because of it, so maybe it might benefit him. So I was tossing around on who could win here, and I'm going to say Goldberg is going over. What I think they're going to do is they're going to have Goldberg win, and they're just going to wait until the pandemic ends. Hopefully for WWE, it will be done by SummerSlam, so they can set up a feud between Roman Reigns and Goldberg for SummerSlam, and then they basically can do the match that they wanted to do and have Roman Reigns go over. I personally think Goldberg would have beaten Roman Reigns had this match continued under the no seats or no fans format. Because, again, you could do that part-timer and then tell the story and do it again at SummerSlam, which is what I think they would have done. Because you don't have to bring Goldberg back that much while, this pandemic is happening. But now that Braun Strowman is in the match, the way I look at the way they're going to execute this match is you're just going to have Goldberg win, and then you're just going to have Roman beat him at SummerSlam. How long will the match be? Maybe 5-6 minutes. I don't know how what moves Braun is going to use, or what moves Goldberg's going to use. Either way, I'll be okay with either one winning. I'm hoping kind of that Braun will win because I want him to see him win a Universal title. But I don't know how exactly you're going to execute like this. Personally, I think Goldberg and Braun could have a really good match if they gave time. Braun is a huge guy, but he is very athletic and could definitely do a lot of maneuvers that can really kind of help Goldberg. Goldberg being the power guy could definitely do some stuff. As long as he doesn't hit his head on the turnbuckle and get a concussion again. I think there's a lot of different ways you can go with it. Goldberg can pick up Braun Strowman for the jackhammer because people are too stupid to not look up his WCW days when he picked up the Big Show, a.k.a. the Giant, in WCW. People just need to put their legs up, and he can do it. And that's what The Fiend and The Undertaker did not do at the Saudi Arabia shows, and that's why he had to put him down right away because it's all going on his muscle when he picks him up. So if they put their legs up, then yes, it can be done. We'll see what happens in terms of what they decide to do. Hopefully they can do a little more moves than just the, especially Goldberg, because I know Goldberg can do more moves than just the spear and the jackhammer. Because I've been watching WWE, I've been watching WWE and WCW for over 20 years, guys, and I've watched mostly all of Goldberg's matches. And so Goldberg can do more than a spear and a jackhammer, and people are very misinformed if they are very ignorant to say that he can only do a spear and a jackhammer, because that's not true at all. He can do a lot of different things. So yeah, I'm saying Goldberg wins here, but if Braun wins, I'll be happy too, because Braun definitely goddamn deserves it. But that's where I'm sticking to right now. So the main event will once again be a women's match for the second year in the row. Not that it really matters for this, because obviously there's no fans, so it really doesn't matter who main events the last match. But definitely last year was a big deal, which I'm happy for Becky Lynch for doing that. But she is defending that Raw Women's title that she won last year at WrestleMania 35. She managed to keep it for a whole year. And will be defending it against Shayna Baszler in the main event. Becky Lynch will win here. That is a bold prediction. Out of everybody here, she is the one who I'm almost 99.9% sure is going over here. A lot of people think Baszler is going to win. She's been dominating. She dominated everyone at the Elimination Chamber. Easily won the number one contender thing. She basically vampired Becky Lynch's neck, which still I thought was really dumb. I didn't like it at all. I mean, it definitely wasn't a PG moment, but I mean, I just didn't like it. I just thought it was weird, more than anything, especially with the whole blood, scare, people, attracting diseases with blood, literally putting someone's mouth in their neck. I don't think would be a good idea for anybody to do. But she's basically been dominating Becky Lynch throughout this whole storyline, and I cannot buy into the fact that they're just going to have Becky Lynch just lose like that. Especially with the entrance she was planned on getting. Like, they literally, that truck that she came out on one of the Raws a couple of weeks ago, that was actually planned to be her entrance for WrestleMania 36. Obviously, since there were going to be no fans, and they weren't going to do it at Raymond James Stadium, they just decided to let her use it on Raw, since, they put all that money into it. You might as well. But I was kind of hoping that they were going to at least debut it, like, at WrestleMania still, because if it's at the Performance Center, you could have still kind of done what they did with Charlotte Flair, have her drive it, outside or whatever, and then get into the arena. And whatnot. I think they could have done something like that. Like what they did with Charlotte Flair last year with the helicopter. And then kind of have some type of effects when she comes into the Performance Center to make her entrance. So a lot of people are going to the logic that Becky Lynch is going to probably lose to Baszler, because Baszler is going to feud with Ronda Rousey when she's going to come back the next night. And then start a feud with her leading into SummerSlam. See, I don't buy that, because the way I look at this, it makes more sense for, if Ronda Rousey really is coming back, it makes more sense for Becky to go over and feud with Ronda Rousey. Because Ronda Rousey can feud with Becky Lynch at SummerSlam, and she could argue that when she beat her at WrestleMania 35, her shoulder was up, which we know was a botch, but they can use that as the story that they can tell going into SummerSlam. And even though Becky Lynch has had the title for now a year, we've seen over year-long title runs before. So it wouldn't be, a stretch to the imagination for Becky Lynch to win here. And retain the belt. And I think that's what's going to happen. I know Vince isn't that very big on Baszler, as one of the rumors that were coming out. And, people that are saying, well, there's no way she could lose. Well, look at a couple of years ago when Charlotte Flair beat the undefeated Asuka. Asuka's never been the same, obviously, since. But it still happened, guys. It still happened. So to say that Becky Lynch can't win here is a very understatement. And Becky Lynch is like the face of the women's division right now. She is the man of the women's division. She is right now, like, I think she's the top merchandising seller for women, if I'm not mistaken, for the women wrestlers, at least. And she's massively over. So I don't think Becky's going to lose here. I think she's going to go over and she's going to win. And I think that's the right decision, in my personal opinion. So, yeah, guys, that is it. As of right now, these are all the matches. Again, the Battle Royals have been canceled because of the coronavirus pandemic. You know, too many people in the ring at once. Can't do it. So, it will be back next year, but it won't be coming out this year. So, yeah, I know that's been kind of a tradition, but it really isn't. It's only been around since WrestleMania 30, and personally, I don't think it's that important. I know they're doing it to pay tribute to Andre the Giant, you know, which is great. You know, Andre the Giant was a great wrestler and a pioneer to the business, but personally, I don't think you need to do the match. You know, it doesn't do anything for anybody. You get a trophy. It's not like you get a number one contenders match, you know, like the next month or anything like that. So, I mean, big deal. You get a goddamn trophy. Who cares? You know, it's cool that you get a trophy of Andre the Giant, but really, what does it do for someone's career? You know, it doesn't benefit anything. You don't get a world title match. You don't get any type of championship match, not even an Intercontinental or United States Championship match. So what does it really matter? You know what I mean there? It just doesn't. It doesn't matter. So personally, for me, I think, you know, I think it should be getting rid of. I like that they tried to pay tribute for Andre the Giant, but it doesn't benefit any of the wrestlers. So I mean, I don't, you know, personally, I think this would be an opportunity just to get rid of it altogether. But yeah, that's it, guys. These are all the matches as of right now of this recording, as they are formatted. Again, a couple of things were just kind of unknown about. You know, with the Intercontinental match, I kind of predicted it the best way I can. But yeah, that's about it. Let me know what you guys think. Comment, rate. If you like this video, my videos, please subscribe. Hit the notification bell for all the latest contents. And that's about it. I am the SS Ultimate Goku. Out of here. Peace!